the wide receiver position. So my only issue with Pitts is this: if Pitts is there at 10 and like a Chase is there or a Waddle is there, how do you convince yourself to pass on those two guys or even a Devontae Smith? If those guys are there, and if you're looking for a weapon, those guys are the bazookas of weapons. How can you pass on a bazooka for a sniper? You know what I'm saying? And that's my issue with Pitts. Like, if we're gonna do weapon, I feel they're better weapons. Like, if you say West Coast, we are taking a offensive player, then you got to take one of them wide receivers, or you got to get that Heisman Trophy. Imagine having a Heisman Trophy winner on this offense. And guys, let me remind you, the offense already has five first-round players on it already, not including Dak Prescott, not including Lael Collins, who all play at a first-round quality. So you already have 7 technically first-round picks on your offense already. Guess how many first-round picks you have on your defense? You have 1.
I'll interrupt you. I'll interrupt you there. I'll interrupt you. They've spent premium picks on defensive players. They've spent first and second-round picks on guys that they've just not had. They've had better success drafting offensive players than they have defensive players.
Who in the last 5 years, though?
Taco Charles.
Oh my God,
Taco Charlton.
Yeah, I mean
that's insane. They used the first round pick on Leighton Vander Esch. They used the second round pick on Jalen Smith. They used the second round pick on Cheeto Awuzie. They've used picks. They used a second round pick on Randy Gregory. They've used first and second round picks on defense. Yes, you can't tell me that they haven't tried to select defensive players. You can't tell me that they've used all the premium picks on offense. That's not factual. That's not factual at all. But they have just done a poor job. And let me tell you this real quick. It might be you have a team, you follow a team that doesn't have a traditional general manager. Okay. You follow a team that their general manager doesn't go on the road on Tuesday after a game and meets the team that next weekend watching players. So what happens is you get a coach influenced draft. And then if your coaches are poor evaluators, now maybe you've had a better job of the offensive coaches evaluating for you and some coaches not. But Jerry is going to side with those coaches a lot of times. And the scouts will tell you they're okay with that. And they'll tell you why they're okay with that is because if the scouts picked all the players, the coaches would be pissed off and they wouldn't play any of their guys. Then it would be a lot worse for them. Okay, so the scouts are okay. If you want to take this guy, if you want to take this guy, if you want to take this guy, they're okay with that. But just make sure you play him. But they've done a really poor job of drafting and evaluating defensive players. That's the reason why they're in the situation right now. That's the reason why you don't want to take Pitts, because you're terrified that the defense is going to suck again this year. I'm not talking down to you here. I'm just telling you the facts. There's a reason why you take Pitts and you go to battle. And I'll tell you why, because to me, and before you came on, I had a coach tell me this. If you're in love with and I'll repeat myself, if you're in love with the weapon of the quarterback that can run and throw and the pressure that they put on defenses, if that's the way we're going, then you should be absolutely in love with Kyle Pitts, because he is going to stress a defense out badly, is what he's going to do. And you know what? You want to do everything in your power to add those types of players to your offense. I'm all for that. I understand what you're saying about Chase, and I get what you're saying about Waddle. I understand all that. But I'm just telling you, this cat's different. There's not players currently in the league that cover cats like this. That's a problem. That's why you take a guy like Pitts, because he is going to cause you a lot of problems.
Okay, can I just say something real quick? I feel like our definition of premium is like kind of miscued. You know what I'm saying? I look at Lamborghinis and I think they're premium, because like if you're looking at a top 10 pick, there is a difference between picks 1 through 17 and picks, because once you get past like 18, they're almost betting on a second. You're almost taking a second round guy. You know what I'm saying?
There are second round. There's no question. The history will tell you your board will go from 18 to 21. Travis Frederick was taken at pick 30, 31, whatever that was. That was a second round grade on their board. Exactly. So you're right. That part of it you're right about.
Exactly. So that's why I'm when I look at this, I feel like, and I'm not actually terrified that the defense is going to look bad, because I do believe that Dan Quinn will have an effect, because at the end of the day, I feel like this. Jerry Jones looks at this defense and he says, what's the cheapest and fastest way we can get back to what we were at least in 2019? And that is to just go back to what we did in 2019. See if we can just do that better. So I actually think that the defense should, and you actually saw some improvement in the defense. I just think that right now, but like I said, hey, if you can, I love the idea about getting the 2 first-round picks. I mean, I love that idea. If we're able to do that, then you can definitely get me on getting a pitch or getting a wide receiver.
What are you gonna do if they take Slater over Parsons? Because the corners are gone. How are you gonna feel about that?
If we're at 10?
Yeah.
And they take the tackle over the linebacker?
Yeah.
Tackle who might be a guard.
Who may be a guard.
Yeah, the tackle's likely to play guard.
My hat actually says run the damn ball. So I am always for anything that is going to help us run the damn ball better. So it's like I'm a super contradictorist. Like I'm like, let's go this, go this.
So I see now. Okay, I didn't see your hat. So what you're telling me is you don't see Pitts doesn't help you run the ball. So that's why you would not take it, but you would take the guard over it, right?
No, I think the guard helps me on 2 folds. Dak Prescott's going to make $77 million next year, so regardless, or around that number. So if I put a guard who's better than Connor Williams in there, I feel like that helps me on 2-fold. Why? Because now I'm able to control the ball. I'm able to control better. Because you got to remember, if your defense isn't on the field, they can't give up plays. I think one thing that the Dallas Cowboys didn't do real good last year is we didn't manage the ball. We didn't manage the clock well. The most important thing financially that we have to do in 2021 is make sure that Dak plays 17 games. So anything that guarantees me that he stands up all 17 games, I'm for. So Slater actually solidifies that, and it helps me run the.
Hold on, West Coast. Dak only played the number of games that he played last year, not because there was anything wrong with the offensive line, but because he was running down the field.
Exactly, but that's still going to be a factor this year. I still got to count that and take that in consideration, because
this is the first time. This is the first time he's ever been injured. If you look at his, it's 16 games. It's 16 games. It's 16 games. That's the first time he's ever been hurt.
I believe, and that's what I'm saying. I still believe that he's going to be. I just feel that Slater would help me on 2 folds. And remember, I'm compromising right now. I'm compromising. You know what I'm saying? So I would be okay with that, because I feel like Slater would help my overall team. If you ask me who would help my overall team more, a linebacker right now or a guy who can play outstanding guard, I think the guard helps you, because the guard is going to help your offense more. And if your offense is on the field more than your defense, then guess what? You have more chances to score and less chances to defend.
Have you ever seen Micah Parsons play football?
Yes, I've seen him play. But Jerry Jones also said this, though. He also said anybody that didn't play last year was compromised. So maybe Jerry was just talking. But Jerry Jones, a guy who owns a boat.
I think, I think the problem with Jerry and the compromise statement is because Jerry, again, I say he's not a traditional general manager. So he wants to see the most current version of a player. In his mind, he does not want to look up there and say, is this 2019 tape we're watching, or is this 2020 tape we're watching? He wants to see the most current product of this team. Again, not a traditional general manager, but that's the way they're set up. So I think that his compromise situation is more for him mentally saying,
yeah. Can I ask you a quick question? In this draft, there's been, and this is just from my experience, in this draft, there are a lot of like 1As and 1Bs. Like when you have players that are very, very close, what type of things do you guys use that are maybe non-football, or that teams use, Jerry Jones uses to kind of separate these guys? Because at some point, like Surtain and Horn are both really good corners, right? But at some point, you'll hear someone talk as if like Surtain's not a good corner. Like he is, but we just had to we had to find something to separate these guys. I want to know, what is what is something that we could really use other than like character, because we don't know these guys.
Well, they know their history. They know their history. You have your board. And their philosophy is, if they're not more than 6 rankings apart on their board, if they're real close, then you can look at need. But you will look at medical history, and you will look at character. You will look at how much they want to play football, and how they are in the locker room and what kind of teammate they are. And if they're all even on all of those things, then you can go by need.
I'll say one thing too, and Brad. I'm just going to play Yeah, I'll finish real quick with Brad if I could on that.
Sorry, Bryan.
No problem. What Jerry will, and I'll finish with this. What Jerry will look for is Jerry wants somebody to tell him who this player reminds him of.
Yeah.
Jerry wants, if you in that draft room as a scout, and we all hate this as scouts because I'll give you an example. To me, when I watched that Smith kid from Alabama play, hey KT, when you watch that kid from Alabama Smith play, he reminds me of Marvin Harrison. So if I was in that draft room with Jerry Jones and I'm talking about Devonta Smith, I am telling him, Jerry, this player reminds me of Marvin Harrison. Then Jerry all of a sudden goes, I got this guy. I understand him. Jerry, you have to take him in a way, and sometimes that's going to be the difference in that room. Because Jerry, when they start putting the tags up there, Jerry's got a visual of this guy is this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. And when he knows all those things, that's when he finds a better way to draft.
Boys, I'm going to have to jump off. Everybody have fun. Have a great day. Thanks for having me. Bryan, get a haircut. KT, great to see you, man.
me or Broaddus, Brad?
Brad Sham in the house? Wow.
Yeah.
So a quick
I'd just like to
challenge
say
for
that
Bryan.
Brian Broaddus is looking more like my late grandfather, more and more by the day.
I'm telling you guys, House of Commons, here I come, right? The right honorable gentleman from court.
I've got a quick challenge for Bryan.
I'm going to stand up one day in that chamber. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to be in the back. I'm going to be in the very back. I'm going to have my program rolled up, and I'm going to be yelling at everybody there. Yeah.
Bryan, you said that Jerry likes comparisons to past NFL players. Is there a possible comparison for Pitts? Would you suggest anybody that's roughly like Kyle Pitts, or is he a generational talent?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was thinking physically how he looks, just physically how he looks to me moving, and I think he's a little bit more smoother than this guy. He's Plaxico Burress to me. That ability, that long body, the route runner, the ability to extend. Burress had that ability. You get him down in the red zone, and when he went up, he was so much taller and longer than everybody else. Now, I've watched Pitts, and I know KT has, and he could comment about this too. When you watch Pitts, all these cornerbacks that we're talking about in the first round, he's running routes on, and he's like the Joseph kid from Kentucky. He takes him, he nods him outside. Joseph goes flying out there, and he goes up the field, 70-yard touchdown. And you're like going, geez, it's amazing. But physically, he looks like Plaxico Burress to me. Again, I know that's very old school, very old thinking, but just with his ability to reach and that length and that stuff, he's not like what you would say with Megatron there and those guys. I think that those are thicker kind of guys, but more of a slender, longer type of a player. That's who I would kind of compare him to as far as catching the football and extending for the football.
He's fun because he wins down the field. No, go ahead.
Sorry. No, go on, buddy. It's all right.
I'll be real quick. He's fun because he wins down the field, and you go look at some of these other guys, and they're great players. But all these wide receivers are winning at the line of scrimmage, getting a lot of screens. All of his routes are down the field, and he's winning from different positions, slot, in line. So occasionally they'd put him in the backfield every once in a while. He's winning split out as a wide receiver. He's winning from all over the formation and down the field. And it's just that is a special thing.
I was going to play devil's advocate a little bit, and I think from the comments that you and Bryan have just made, might have already answered it. But if Pitts falls to 10 tonight and the Cowboys pass on him, would you both be really annoyed, or would you be saying, yeah, you know, that they went more for a need rather than this special talent? I know that's playing devil's advocate a little bit, but
no, Jamie, I love you.
Split up.
Jamie, I love you. I really do. Because you're Jamie, you're a stir it up guy. You're a stir it up guy. I like that. Yeah,
someone has to be right.
I would be pissed. I would be pissed. I would. And I think, I know KT's doing his show. I'm doing my show. And I think KT would text me and I would text him and it would be, can you believe they effing did that? You know, that would be one of those. That would be one of those draft day moments that we would all remember. But I don't think – two things. I don't think he gets to them at 10, and I don't think they would pass on him if he got to 10. But to answer your question, yes, I would be pissed.
If they pass on Kyle Pitts, I'm not going to say I'm going to do it, but someone's going to go pull the fire alarm button at the start. I'm done.
KT's at the Star. KT's the one guy that's going to be at the Star tonight, and I can see KT taking off the headset and going right into the war room and getting Jerry like in a headlock and just start pounding on his head.
It's over. I'll just go home for the night. If we're not taking it to 10, then we're taking this seriously. If we're not going to take it seriously, then I don't need to be here. I'll just go home. That'll drive a man to drinking right there.
Yeah, I'm joining KT with doing that because if you pass on him, I'm going to be pissed because I like Pitts. I think this offense would be even more dangerous than what it originally is already.
Wait, hold on a minute. Are we still talking about Kyle Pitts here? Come on.
Paul, against come back on. Kyle Pitts is your favorite.
That's it. I'm see you later.
Let's talk about
it. Hey, you're the guys that all signed up for 24 hours of Kyle Pitts talk. I mean, that's hey, when I got the email from you guys, it's like, Broaddus, we want you on for an hour of Kyle Pitts talk. Okay, that's what we want you on. Yeah.
I mean,
so
can we please not talk about some defense, please?
So, Paul, would you like to talk about Trevor Lawrence now? Your other favorite topic.
Do not do that, please.
You know, one guy that really intrigues me is, and say KT, Bryan, I don't know if you guys have got a thing on this, but Golston from Iowa, he really intrigues me. Do you think that'd be a smart pickup, obviously later on in the draft?
You got that one, KT?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take this one for me. I mean, Golston, the thing about defensive end is second round, there's a bunch of guys there. Joe Tryon, if you want to talk about him, Basham, Peyton, Turner. And then I feel like there's a drop-off before you get to that next level. And to me, that next level, kind of that third tier, I have Chauncey Golston kind of near the top of that. I don't know where you have him graded, Broaddus, but I do want this team to draft a defensive end at some